Good morning, Sue. Here is your coffee machine. This is the Breville Barista Express BES870 in brushed stainless steel. Thanks for waiting. So this unit was actually a trade-in from one of my customers. They, I think they got a more expensive machine. I wasn't told, but yeah, I bought it from them at a discount. It needed just standard servicing. I changed the seals just as a preventative maintenance. So as you saw in the photos, 7 silicone seals I changed. Give the machine a good clean in and out. Yeah, and as you can see in the photos, it's not too bad. It is a used machine, of course, so it will have wear and tear. This one has a few scratches around the front where the cup goes in and out. Honestly, that's the main part of it, and a tiny chip here on the plastic. I think they hit a utensil or plate with it. So there's tiny, let's call it a pinhead sized crack in the plastic lid. But other than that, the machine is pretty good. Works like new, looks in good condition, and in this video I'll be demonstrating it. So the way I like to start my routine with these coffee machines is I like to start by warming up. So you can either warm up the machine by letting it stay on for 10 or 15 minutes. It will get passively warmed up because the boiler is on and it's connected to the grip head. The grip head will get hot, the portafilter will get hot, and if you keep your cups on top, it will get slightly warm because there's a bit of radiative heat that you can get from the boiler if you put your cups up here. The other quicker method to heat up the machine and the cup is to run a blank shot. So I'm gonna reset it first to factory settings because I can't remember what settings they had it on. And then I'm gonna run a double shot. That's gonna give me hot water right into the cup. It's gonna warm up the cup, warm up the basket and portafilter. And if there's any coffee grounds or oils, this will clean it up as well. So it acts like a little bit of a cleaning flush, sort of. You can do that once, you can do that twice. I'll test the single button for you just for peace of mind. Awesome. Once that's done, take out the portafilter. Making sure I don't spill onto the floor. Get a tissue and dry the basket. So the basket needs to be dry for you to accurately grind and tamp the coffee. If it has a little bit of water, it may affect your measurements. I am going to be using a scale to measure the inputs and outputs. You don't have to use a scale on this machine, but it does help with consistency and coffee results. So this is the machine comes with single and double baskets. This is a double. It takes about 18 grams of ground coffee. So I'm going to turn on my scale, make sure it's on 0. There we go. And then, this is the first time I grind on this machine, so I'm not sure what grind size we should use. I will quickly add some beans and use grind size 10 and see what results we get. There we go. That is quite coarse. I'll drop it to grind size 8. That's looking better. Let's use number 7. Okay. Probably number 6. I'm doing this to avoid you having to play with the settings and make many coffees. I can usually tell just by the grind size texture if it's too fine or too coarse. So I'm going to be putting it roughly in the ballpark and then make a coffee so we don't have to make multiple coffees. This looks alright at grind size 6. I'll keep it at grind size 6. The only way to know if this is the correct grind size for these beans is to make a coffee. So I can't just look at the grind size and tell you this is the perfect grind size for everything. I'll make a coffee, and if it's good for my grind size, I will comment on that. But I won't mess too much, because when you get the machine, you probably will be using different beans than what I'm using. And even if you do use the same beans, they'll probably be fresh and not... What I have here, it's about 3 weeks old now. So that will affect the grind settings as well, or the brew characteristics. Without talking too much, basically you can ignore everything I said and start here. I will be making coffee at grind size 6, and we'll see what happens. If the grind size is too large, so what I'm saying, if the coffee comes out too quickly, that means the grind size is too large. If the espresso is pouring out of the spouts very quickly, gushing out of the spouts, that means the grind size is too large, so we need to reduce it, to slow it down. On the other hand, if the grind size, if the brew is very slow, only small drops come out into the cup, very slow, that means the grind size is too small. So we need to increase it up to speed it up. You can think of the grind size as if it's like the speed of the brew. Smaller number, smaller speed, larger number, larger speed. There's also things like time and output and pressure that I'm going to discuss, but that's just the basics. If the coffee comes out very slowly, you need to increase the grind size. If it comes out very quickly, you need to reduce the grind size. And I'm talking about the espresso coffee, not the ground coffee. Next, I'm going to be grinding now. I will use, there's a single and a double selection. The double will give you double the quantity of ground coffee. I personally like to use single and do it twice. That way I can reduce the mess and have more control over the coffee coming out. I will try at 12 o'clock position. This will give me more or less coffee. Try at the 12. So because it's an 18 gram basket, if I need to do that twice, it'll be 9 and 9. So I'll hopefully try to get 9 per dose. Cool, that's my first dose. Let's have a look. 9.5. I'll reduce it by a little bit. That's exactly 9 grams now. Once you get your first dose, very important, this is the key step. Lightly press it with the tamper. Not strongly, just lightly, just to make space for the next dose. Otherwise, if you don't do the step, we haven't done anything really, we haven't achieved anything. If you don't do the step, you'll grind the second dose and it may spill out the sides. That's why I like to use the single mode, so you can press it and make space. No spillage. Let's measure it, and that's exactly 9.1. That's pretty good. So I'll keep it there, keeping at 11 o'clock, grind size 6. With these beans, gives me 9 grams per dose. So that means I'm gonna get 18 grams if I do it twice. Lots of numbers, lots of theories. In the end, if you don't have a scale and you don't want to bother with these things, just use the machine as is, as if I've just set it up. And when you press the coffee, the one trick I can give you is, once you press the coffee, so before you press the coffee, just spread it around with your finger so you're not pressing on a mountain of coffee, rather you're pressing on a plane of coffee. Press it nice and firmly, and you will see that the silver part on the tamper will disappear. This is the tamper, and this is the stainless silver part. If you have the right amount of coffee, it should disappear. Now I think I have a little bit too much coffee, so maybe this basket, with this coffee, maybe 17.5 would be better, or 17. But anyway, not to confuse things, this silver part should disappear, and it sort of does. It sinks into the basket. If you press the coffee and it's all the way up here, the silver part is still showing. That's too much coffee. And vice versa, if the silver part sinks into the basket, or like halfway, that's too little coffee. So it should be just flush with the rim, which it sort of is. Make sure it's nice and flat. It's not like wonky to one side or the other. Put it back, clean the edges, and now we're ready to brew. If you ever find it really hard to lock in the portafilter, it can also indicate that you have too much coffee. So maybe in that case, just bring it back one notch and try again. Try again the next day. But yeah, I'll keep it there. This is the cup, nice and warm now. I'll grab a small spoon. I'm also going to demonstrate that there's a hot water tap here. This will give you clean hot water straight from the boiler. If you need to make long black espressos, long black coffees like Americanos, tea bags. In my case, I like to add a little bit of water to warm up. A little bit of water to help the sugar dissolve, just a tiny bit. And I'm going to mix it up with a spoon, and mixing it up helps the distribution. If you don't add the water and don't mix it up, when you drink the coffee, the last few sips, when you're about done, the last few sips will be very sweet because the sugar will settle down underneath. Okay, few more things before we make the coffee. We spoke about the input into the handle, 18 grams. Now we need to speak about the output. The output should be double of what you put in. So we put in 18, we should be getting 36 grams. So anything between 34 to 40 should be okay. It's not a science, it doesn't have to be perfect every time, but as long as it's roughly in the ballpark, it should taste good. This is like a basic guideline. And some coffees will taste better at 3-to-1 ratio or 1-to-1 ratio, but 2-to-1 is the basic espresso recipe, so that's the one I'll be using. 18 grams in, 36 grams out. And the other thing is time. That 36 gram shot should take about 30 seconds. To 25, 35, anything in that range is good. Or even 20 to 30, honestly, like that's the range I'm comfortable with. Let's aim for 25 seconds. And if it's much quicker than 25 seconds, so if the shot takes 15 seconds, if, for example, by the 15-second mark, I've got the full shot in there, that's too quick. That tells me that either my coffee is too old or that the grind size is too large, as we spoke before. Large grind size gives you a large speed. And on the other hand, if the shot, my 36 gram shot, takes an entire minute to come out, that's too slow. That tells me that my grind size is too fine. Or perhaps that I've compacted the coffee too much and locked it in and it's compacted even more. It's either one or the other, or it's perfect. It's exactly 36 grams in 30 seconds, 25 seconds, 30 seconds. So we'll see. I'm going to make a coffee now and I'm going to time it. I'm going to adjust the button for you. You can ignore what I'm doing here. I'm just going to adjust it so it gives you the correct amount of coffee, because the factory settings usually are too long, a bit too long for my liking. The pressure gauge can be a good indicator, but anything between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock is good. Interesting. Let's have a look. That's 44 grams. So, I think my coffee is too old. I don't think the grind size is too fine. I don't think the grind size is too large. What happened here is I got the entire 40 gram shot in about 16, 17 seconds. Too quick, may taste a bit sour, but I'm not going to chuck this out. I think I'm going to still have it. But I will say that if this happens with fresh beans, if my beans are fresh, I just bought them yesterday from Aldi, and this happens, I will grind one number finer and try again. I'm not going to do that because I know my beans are almost a month old. So I'll leave it like this. I'll leave the settings the same, just so we haven't wasted your time. Leave the settings the same. The button is now going to give you about 40 grams of coffee, which is the correct amount. This is the correct amount. This is 42, I think, 44. But yeah, roughly 40 grams is what you should be aiming for, more or less. What next? Yeah, so make a coffee with these settings and let me know how you go. If you get stuck, shoot me a video, shoot me a message. More than happy to help. Mixing it up. It actually tastes pretty good, I have to admit. So numbers aren't everything, really. It's just a guide. Next is the steaming. So I'll quickly clean the group head. So grab your portafilter, give it a quick knock into the bin, give it a quick flush. So clean it underneath the group head or underneath the machine here so that you can flush the group head and the basket at the same time. You don't have to go all the way to the sink and come back. If you want to be extra nice to your machine, just dry it with a tissue, wipe the group head with a tissue as well. There's, as you can see, a little bit of coffee grounds stuck in there. So make sure you don't burn yourself, it's quite hot. You can do this maybe after turning off the machine. But for me, I'm used to doing it straight away. Keep it nice and dry, so you can, not have any spots down the line. Next is the steaming. I'm going to turn it on. Usually takes about 15 seconds to start steaming. I'm going to get my milk jug here. Your machine doesn't come with a milk jug, that's why it's a bit cheaper, but I'm going to be using mine. So I filled the jug about halfway, or just below the spouts, with the cold full cream milk. Now I'm just going to keep the wand on so it doesn't cool down. When you turn on the wand, like I said, 15 seconds, steam starts coming out. Turn it off, then put it back into the milk. You have to put it at the right angle. So I'll show you that. There's better videos on YouTube on how to do this, but I'm going to quickly show you. So if steam starts coming out, you position it like this towards the edge, but at an angle, turn it back on. And for the first 10 seconds or so, try to keep the wand tip close to the surface of the milk. It'll give you that hissing sound. Just there. That means I'm injecting air into the milk, I'm aerating it, I'm giving it that fluffy froth level, and then after that, raise the jug. You don't want to be giving it too much froth, otherwise it'll either overfill your cup or just not taste nice if it's too frothy. And now it's deeper, the wand is deeper into the milk, but it's still spinning it in like a vortex. So even from the beginning, I'm trying to keep it spinning, so it keeps mixing up with itself. And then when it's too hot to the touch, I'll turn it off, which is now. Before you let it cool down, give it a quick purge. And then it'll purge. After about 5 seconds, it'll auto cool down to allow you to make another coffee. There we go. Once you see the buttons light up, it's ready to go. Make sure you do that purge that I told you, and when you're done, grab a wet cloth and give it a good wipe. This will be the easiest way to clean it. If you don't do this straight away, the milk will be really hard the next day. It may even block the hole and prevent you from steaming. So yeah, give it a good clean as soon as you can. There we go. Awesome. That's the latte almost done. All that's left is pouring the milk. Actually, after you're done steaming the milk, have a look at the texture. It should be nice and smooth. If it's not, give it a bit of a swirl. Knock it down to help it settle and break any big air bubbles. It looks really good. I'm always surprised by the results that this machine gives you. But anyway, yeah, it should be like nice and smooth, almost like wet paint. That's the thing people describe it as. There we go. Nicely textured milk. I did sort of put too much milk in the jug because now I'm gonna have to waste or drink some of this. But the final result is really good. This looks really smooth. We managed to get a tiny bit of a latte art. This is like a heart. It's supposed to look like a heart. But yeah, it's really easy to do once you start, actually doing the work. And if you practice it long term, you will get good results, good latte art, and really good coffee. That's the most important. Hopefully this video was useful and not too much information. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate in messaging me. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.